Hello there, everybody, and I hope everybody's having a good September. And I don't know where the time went, and it's like September, fall. Just overwhelming. But anyway, and also a bit of overwhelming because YouTube's changed on me, which made it difficult because I tried to do something last week and I couldn't because it wasn't working right. You know how you go on to do the computer or do something with your phone and it decides at that point it's going to upgrade or do whatever it's going to do. It's like that's what it's been going on. But anyway, hopefully we're back. And hopefully I got this going on today. I want to, well, in the book I was looking at, I was got one more lesson I want to talk about, and actually it's got something to do with sleep patterns and how to, in a sense, time sleep for depending on what you're trying to do. But that's another issue I'll talk about later. Because it was the beginning of September, and for me, it's kind of like the beginning of a new year. This school is starting for a lot of people. And because I'm a teacher, I've been thinking of September and Labor Day as the beginning of a new year's for years. It's just, I have 2 New Years in every year I've got. First January, Labor Day. It just works out that way. Anyway, I was reading because I was looking at another book thinking what I was going to do, and I found this one, How to Become a Straight A Student. Um, Interesting, thin little book, but it's got some really good stuff in it. But one of the things I saw in it first was a really cool, at least I thought it was really cool, very simple technique for time management and to some degree productivity. Really, really simple, really non-techy. The thing about this is that it keeps you from, if you do it properly anyway, from putting 75 different things on your to-do list when you know that you're not going to get it done anyway. So let me go into this. You only need two things. One, a major calendar that you basically keep at home, and that's going to be up to you. You can have, one of the big ones with the big squares on it. You could have something with the lines for each hour of the day, whatever. Pick a calendar that's going to be yours that you want. The second thing you need for this is a piece of paper, loose leaf, or you can have like a spiral bound notebook, something that you can put things in. Because what you want to do on the spiral bound notebook, the loose leaf page, is to write a couple of things about what you're doing during the day. You carry that around with you. So to start with this process, you basically get your calendar and put on the calendar those things that you've already got scheduled. If you're in school, you put down the test dates, the dental appointments, the when you have to take your kids to soccer practice or whatever it is that you've got. So you put those things on the calendar. Those are your pretty much your hardcore, I've got to do these kinds of things. Okay. Then let's say tomorrow morning you start out, and you can either do this first thing in the morning or it's a tail end of the day as you're looking for the next morning. So you take a look at your calendar for the next day. I'm recording this on Tuesday. So I could tonight, for example, look at my calendar for Wednesday and think about what's going on and get into my head about what I've got. So on my little sheet of paper, and I'll refer to it as a sheet of paper, but like I said, you could put this into a notebook if you wanted to carry a notebook around with you. And you have two columns essentially. Whoops, let's put it this way. Well, I said got Monday over here, but it could be in this case, it's going to be Wednesday. It doesn't matter. But what you put your date and the date, say like the date of the week, whatever it is, and what's on that schedule. What do you have scheduled for that particular date? So that whatever I had tomorrow that I had to do that was already pre-scheduled goes down there on that one side. On the other side, I put down pretty much nothing because what I do is I carry this along with me. And if there are things that I want to do or that I'm trying to do or that I'm thinking about doing, those can go over on this part here. So if it's something to the effect, if you go by the cleaners, pick up the stuff or something along the line. So those little tasks that you want to get done or can, if things work out, depending on do it, then you start putting them down in that particular column. And you can put them into a specific time frame. So let's just say you decide, okay, I've got to go buy the cleaners tomorrow. When are you going to go buy? And you might do that, say, like after work or after you pick up the kids from school or whatever. So you put that into the schedule, whatever it fits. As your day goes on and things come up, as you know, they will come up. Somebody changes an appointment, you add something else, you commit yourself to doing something else, which you may want to be careful about. You put it down on that sheet of paper over here. Whoops, over here. Whoops, get my right side here. So these are the things you put down. So if you come down and say, okay, schedule a dental appointment or the kids just made the playoffs. I've got to go to that particular game later, or something else, or some other test comes up. You get appointed to do. work on a project or work or something like that. So that means you've got to meet with people outside of work on a Saturday or whatever. As things come up, you put it on that side of the sheet. Just write it down. The benefit for this is that you don't have to, in a sense, clutter your head up with trying to keep all the details. You just put down that information on that particular sheet of paper, and then you don't have to worry about it. It's on the paper, and you can forget about it, so to speak, for that moment. So you can go about doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? Then at the end of the day, or the next morning, whichever works out best for you, you go through and as I said, this is Tuesday. So on when I'm looking at Wednesday going into Thursday, I add those things on the calendar. So if there's something over here, let's get my slides together, that says that I have to do something, I put that on the calendar for the day, and that goes over to this part. Does this make sense? So that sheet of paper that you're carrying around with you essentially is a section of your calendar for that day. So you take a look at the calendar, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever the day of the week it is, and put down on that sheet of paper those tasks that you have to do for that day. You fill in the time frame, however you want to do it. You can see what's available as far as other items, and so then you can fill in the blanks, so to speak, of those tasks that you need to get done. So that if you have to stay an extra hour after work because of something, or let's say you got stuck in traffic and you're going to be 30 minutes late, and something that works out that you can't do it, that particular task because you're stuck in traffic for whatever's going on, that gives you a chance to maneuver around and change your schedule depending on what's available. Does this make sense? So essentially what you're doing is you're only working on your time and your tasks for that specific day. Now, you're going to be putting a bunch of things on the things to the remember side. Doing this in reverse is always a problem. On the things to remember. The problem or the benefit of this particular detail is sooner or later you're going to have 25 things over there, and you're not going to be able to do them all. And that's the whole thing. You're going to have to start making choices, which I realize could be hard for you sometimes, as to what's going to go on the calendar for that particular day. Because if you can't find a place on your calendar to do it, you're either going to have to get rid of something else or keep postponing it. But all you do is put it on that paper, and you could keep another thing, a list of the things to do that you'll never get around to. But basically, you have to put everything on your calendar at some point. So if you decide that you want to go research what you want for your next vacation 2 years from now, you put it on a calendar for 2 years from now. You don't just continue to put it on the list for something that you're going to do tomorrow. Okay? So it's making this particular method forces you to just think in terms of what you can do within the next 24 hours instead of thinking about all the things that you've got to do, because you're recognizing that all you've got time to do is what you've got time to do that day. Okay? Does this make sense? Because I think that we get involved with these big fancy to do things and the lists and calendars and everything else like that. And then we want to keep putting a lot of, at least I know I do, put a lot of details on it about things I want to do. When I really look at it and I realize there's just way too many things that I'm definitely not going to get them done, schedule them out. If they go out 3 months, do you really want to do it? So you're going to have to start thinking in terms of, is this something I really want to put on the calendar? Is this something I really want to get done? Because basically, if you can't figure out how to find out how to do it within the 24, 48, or 72 hours, depending on whether you're looking forward to, say, a long weekend or today, why put it on your to-do list? Because it's not going to get done anyway. And all you're going to do is feel really bad because you've got it on your to-do list and it's not going to get done. So it's, in a sense, forcing you to recognize the fact that you are limited in what you can do. If you want to do it, then you need to take a look at that basic calendar you've got and rearrange things so that you do get it done. So maybe you're scheduled to go to a movie with friends and you decide that maybe you'd rather go do, or you need to go do something else instead of going to the movies. You may have to cancel the movie date. Something's going to have to give, but you are inclined and encouraged to just put those things on that one calendar of the things that you need to do. If you're in school, you've got the schedule of what your classes are, what your tests are going to be, when your papers are due, if you've got a presentation you make, what you're going to study for today. So you put those things down and you just go those priorities on there, and that's what gets done. So if you do take time out to something happens and somebody offers you a chance to, hey, let's go get lunch, and you wanted to say, okay, I need to get lunch and I'll go with them, but it changes your calendar, you still have a chance to rearrange depending on the time frame you've got to that calendar. You can still make those changes, but you do it within the confines of the fact of what time you have left and what time you have available. Does that make sense? I hope so. If it doesn't, ask me questions and I'll try and make it a little clearer. But this again is very, very simple. As I said, it requires your one master calendar at home and a sheet of paper or a little notebook. Oh, yeah, if you do the notebook, when you get through the end of the day and you put everything on your calendar, throw the sheet of paper away. Do not keep it around with lists of things on it that you want to get around to doing someday. Because if you can't figure out where to put it on the calendar, when is someday going to come? So you've got to start making decisions about what you can put on the calendar and what you can feasibly do. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. I hope you can think about and figure out a way of perhaps modifying something that you already do to make it even more useful than what you've got now. And if you were listening to this, maybe we're just looking for a way to do something in the first place. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you found this helpful, and get started if you're in school or starting off. If you're in school or your children are in school, and so you also are getting off to a new school year, so you're kind of having to set the school calendar too. I hope everything goes well and you have a good September, and we will chat with you later. Bye.